So it all started in 1997 with the first V-Rally on PlayStation. After the success of the first V-Rally, we've developed a second version, which was called V-Rally 2, trying to improve every section of the original game. While on the second version, it was more and more things, more cars, more tracks, more game modes. On the third one, because we've changed the platform and we are working now on PlayStation 2, it was for us a good opportunity to work on concentrate on details and quality rather than quantity.
We were often frustrated by the lack of power in the first PlayStation, and also all the ideas that we didn't have time to develop before have now been integrated into V-Rally 3 from the design stage up.
You will see a lot of attention to details, a lot of animations.
From the start, the key word in V-Rally, the primary goal we set ourselves, was to completely immerse the player in the world of the rally.
We wanted the game to be more a simulation rather than an arcade game. Now let's have a look closer to the making of V-Rally. So I welcome you in our studio to meet all the developers responsible for this new V-Rally 3. Hope you will enjoy.
So that V-Rally 3 would be as realistic as possible, we based our work on detailed documentation, digital images and videos that we collected by going to rallies or by working with a professional photographer. We're working on 6 countries, 4 circuits per country, so you can imagine the huge effort required to capture and convey the atmosphere of the cold of Sweden and the heat of Kenya. With Eden's first projects, the approach was to assemble blocks together, each one mapped and textured. This method had a lot going for it because it allowed us to edit the tracks very quickly. Unfortunately, it also ruled out certain camera angles and shots of the landscapes in the distance, both of which are now possible on the PlayStation 2. The new technique we've developed lets us start with blank mesh, which we can model any way we like before handing it over to the designer. This gives the graphic artist the widest latitude possible to create each of the sections of the road. The result is that a section of track in V-Rally 3 is often different in every aspect from the section that follows. Some of the rallies have a special character. England winds along, Finland is extremely fast, and Kenya is a volatile mix of chaos and speed. In fact, for Corsica, I took along a camera afterwards and I had a great time trying to interpret every left 50, right 50 of the navigator into an element of the game to give the tracks that rhythm that makes the driver want to go further. Because if you don't have that, you're just along for the ride and you're not playing a rally game, you're playing Wipeout, you're just cruising, and that's not fun.
Sur V-Rally 3, nous avons des pistes exceptionnellement longues.
V-Rally 3 has exceptionally long tracks, anywhere from 6 to 7 kilometers. The track is divided into 500-meter sections, and you're seeing 2 sections in front and 1 behind, a total of 1,500 meters or 50,000 polygons on the screen at any one time. Now you have 1 kilometer of track stretching out ahead, and you're surrounded by 3D mountains that we've put 3 to 4 kilometers away, giving you this great effect of depth of field.
C'est fait vraiment de champ de vision et de profondeur.
I want people to be able to stop on the track without having to compete, so they can sit themselves down without any problem as if they're out on a picnic, simply because this spot is beautiful and there's nothing like it on the other 6 or 7 kilometers. When you get the plans back from the constructors and you begin to model, you realize that there are a lot of elements which only become apparent when you see the car in the flesh, so to speak. That means you sometimes have to go to real rallies to actually see the cars, how they're built, the details, the headlights. It's this attention to detail that's going to make this game stand apart from other games. One of our cars weighs in at 20,000 polygons, which is unheard of and simply impossible for most other games.
A lot of details and attention has been spent on animations. We wanted the tracks to be more detailed and more realistic than they used to be. So, for example, in Kenya, you will see a lot of animals around the tracks that are just living their life.
On aura tendance à vouloir.
You might be seized by a sudden impulse to run one of the animals over.
Animaux en fait auront des expressions.
But if so, it will jump with surprise to avoid being roadkill and to make sure this remains a purely driving
Afin
game.
de ne pas les renverser et garder un jeu de voiture.
Here you have a texture with fallen leaves. You'll see that when you pass over this texture, it'll generate individual leaves behind you. And doesn't it do it well?
100, 3 left, 3 right, 50, 4 right.
The drivers and the co-driver are fully animated in the car, but also outside of the car. You will see a lot of public along the roads, and that makes the game much more realistic than it used to be.
It's fair to say that the sound of the V-Rally series was little more than an afterthought up to now. It's only natural that we wanted to bring it up to par with the rest of this great game. The idea was to make use of samples of real cars speeding along the track. In the past, the sample was looped and the pitch was varied to correspond to the speed of the car. We took another approach this time. We began by analyzing the sound spectrum. We use an algorithm that readjusts the equalizer functions in real time. I honestly think we'll be the first to launch this new technology.
150, 2 right, 2 right.
Chaque info de copilotage sera en fait
Every piece of information from the co-driver will be a scripted event located on the circuit, allowing us to time the co-driver's announcements to within a meter or less.
du maître de régler les annonces de copilotage.
100.
At the finish line, the co-driver will make a few brief remarks depending on the driver's results.
Chaque séance
During every recording session, we'll ask the co-driver to play some of the key circuits, which will contain the entire set of obstacles or announcements included at that level of the game. And we'll ask their advice on the pace notes of V-Rally 3's
leurs
tracks.
conseils vis-à-vis du repérage des pistes de V-Rally 3.
Open hairpin left, 3 left and 4 right. Left hairpin, left tight hairpin.
4 left, tight hairpin left. 50, 5 right. 100, tight hairpin right.
C'est notre premier jeu sur
This is our
PlayStation
first game for
2.
the PlayStation 2, so we were obliged to rewrite the 3D engine, as naturally the one from the first PlayStation would not work. We reprogrammed everything, which allows us to achieve the speed effects we want, the effects of passing objects at speed, for
On a
example.
vraiment l'impression d'être dans le décor.
Every tyre has a specific type of traction. If, for example, you're in Sweden and you choose asphalt tyres, you take off into the game, what do you know? No traction. Traction will be taken into account in all the game dynamics.
Dans chaque piste, il y aura des intégrations.
Animations will be integrated into every track, or we like to call them smackable objects. These are all the objects which are going to be knocked down, such as panels, the safety rails which will become deformed, dustbins which will go flying or even explode. All objects which could conceivably be knocked down by a car travelling at a given speed.
Suivant sa vitesse.
We still manage to drop in some nasty traps here and there. You drive up, you jump, and you land 50 meters below.
100. 3 right.
We wanted for the player to feel like he's a real driver. So not only racing a car on a track, but also living everything that is around the races.
V-Rally's big innovation is what we call the V-Rally mode.
You have to negotiate a contract for the next season, to choose the best team, to choose the best mechanics, and also to set up your car for a particular rally. The drivers and the co-driver are fully animated outside of the car, when they get in, get out of the car, when they talk to their manager. We've represented a full service area with all the teams, all the cars, all the mechanics, and everybody is animated around the car, and that makes the thing good.
Quand il arrive sur le rallye, déjà, il a un impératif.
When the driver arrives at the rally, they already have a fixed objective, a goal. Either they do well and the team manager congratulates them, or they are behind after the first stage and they'll be given the third degree. And there could be a lot of mechanical problems to fix and only minutes to do it in. All that is part of a true rally.
Ça fait partie du vrai rallye.
I believe we're the first to faithfully represent this aspect of the sport, the stress during both the race and in the repairs and adjustments.
Des réparations et des réglages.
On aura un mode carrière.
In V-Rally mode, depending on the stages, there will be progressive changes based upon the weather forecast and the time of day.
Up to V-Rally 3, it was more like a car on the road, and sometimes something around that, but very few scene around that. And we think that today we have a more mature game, something more rewarding for the player.